You may not think of cover crops as being particularly innovative, but between soil health, weed suppression, and nutrient management, just for starters, cover crops are a farmer's secret weapon. As far back as the ancient Greeks and Romans, farmers have been using cover crops to improve soil fertility. Native Americans and even George Washington saw their benefit, and in order to protect the largest estuary in the United States, the Chesapeake Bay, modern-day Maryland farmers have carried on the tradition. But what actually is a cover crop?
A cover crop is anything growing during the non-cash crop growing season, and typically they're not harvested. At its core, you think about cover crops as covering the land, preventing erosion, holding that soil in place. But also at a real basic level, you could think about a cover crop as just a plant growing to harvest resources that would otherwise be lost.
Sarah Hirsch of the University of Maryland Extension Service knows that cover crops are one of the best defenses in protecting the Chesapeake Bay. But she also believes that they can be an offensive strategy to improve the growing conditions on the farm. To that end, she has launched the Bonus Cover Crop Program, a research project that develops site-specific plans for farmers.
Does it tend to be wet, dry? You have any particular weeds out there that you're concerned about?
Yeah, this is a little heavier ground, and it requires a little different treatments and different management than some of our other ground.
Sarah meets with farmers to discuss the challenges unique to their farm and to make suggestions tailored to solving them.
If a farmer has maybe 10 fields, those fields are going to be different. They're going to have different issues. They're going to have different histories. You're going to be growing different cash crops on those fields. So they shouldn't all have the same cover crop.
Maryland already has the highest percentage of land covered by cover crops in the entire nation. But farmers like Stephen Kraszewski appreciate the tailored approach that the Bonus Cover Crop Program offers.
We were using mostly the singular species, monocrops, so just rye for weed control, and just a single species of legume, crimson clover, to grow our nitrogen for our corn. But there's a lot of other options out there. And the Bonus Cover Crop Program allowed us to experiment and find a way to make our operation more resilient.
Stephen and the team at Mason's Heritage Farm are growing 900 acres of organic corn and soybean, and they're using cover crops not only for soil health, but also logistical benefits.
They expand our windows of opportunity at any given time. It's planting season, we get rain, we need to be able to get on the ground. If I have cover crops growing on the ground, it's soaking up the moisture, makes that ground more available to get something done. And we try to manage our cover crops like we do our cash crops.
Over in Cecil County, farmer Brian Racine has his own challenges. He's growing corn, wheat, and soybean on hilly land that makes storms problematic.
I think it's like 40 miles an hour. The raindrop hits the dirt. So we had a lot of erosion, a lot of washouts, a lot of things where, you make a gully and, you come out after the winter, if good snow, and, it's 2-3 feet deep. So now I got to fill that back in, and that just takes time and money and energy. So I feel like just having the cover crops helps to alleviate a lot of that.
Brian has over a dozen different cover crops in his fields to prevent erosion, add nitrogen, and improve soil health.
So a lot of farmers have been able to try things that they probably wouldn't have otherwise. It is a grant-funded project through NRCS and National Fish and Wildlife. We have 2 different grants, so we're able to provide some cost share to farmers. So that allows them to try things out that they may have been hesitant to take that risk otherwise.
The amount of cover crops have improved the growing condition on Brian's farm. But he's not the only one enjoying the diversity in the field. Brian lets his neighboring farmer graze his cows on his fields when they're in cover crops.
So I put some more grasses in here for the cows to come and eat, and then so I could get some free manure here, because this is what it's going to build your organic matter, help break things down, help grow better crops. Whew, smells like money.
The added organic material from the cows, coupled with the benefits of the cover crops, has Brian optimistic that he'll see a yield bump in his corn. Today, he'll plant the corn in the cover crop, which he'll then terminate later.
Since I'm planting into either living cover crop, it's hard to see, just a couple inches of opening when you're in 3-4 foot tall rye. You got to pay attention to your row cleaners making a good opening, or are you getting enough down pressure that the gauge wheels are staying down on the ground? Is there all the seeds coming out? I don't have any monitors or anything, so it's all mechanical.
Here's looking to a successful season for Brian. Meanwhile, back at Mason's Heritage Farm, Stephen is terminating his rye cover crop. Earlier in the month, he planted soybean directly into the live field, and by roller crimping the rye, he'll have an effective weed cover, further maximizing his cover crop.
We want to open up the canopy for the soybean to grow. What we want to do is take this machine and knock this down and crimp it. So we have the soybean that'll want to come back up, the rye will stay down and cover that ground. Reduces erosion, it also reduces sunlight and drops the temperature a little bit, keeps the weeds uncompetitive.
It's Sarah's hope that more farmers will join the bonus cover crop program to improve the growing conditions across the state. And she encourages farmers to not be afraid to experiment.
What works where you are, and no book on cover crops is as good as seeing them in the field and trying them on your operation.
To learn more about our show and watch full episodes, check out mpt.org/farm or just click the link in the description.